Glory, honor, and praise to the great God, universal Allah. Hopefully we can be as brief as possible. Just trying to get some info on why these marathon events are attracting chaos and violence. Could it be a chaos spell? Could it be a death contract involved, which was the case with the consciousness formerly known as Nipsey Hussle? Is there infiltration involved? I'm not holding this phone up the whole time, so let's just review this case. So first of all, we have to start off with just universal disclosure. We are in a new age. We are in a new age, an era of time, an eon, a touch time cycle, a cycle has ended on the earth. We have officially crossed polarities on the earth, going from the negative polarity, age of Pisces. We are officially in a positive polarity on the earth, age of Aquarius. This is key information because look, the great God universal Allah already told his people, and my people perish for their lack of knowledge. So look, the same rules that applied for the last age, the old world, right, with the Bible, the basic instructions before leaving earth refers to as the end of a world. It always refers to the end of a world. Well, there was no translatable, or it was purposely mistranslated. We have Hebrew, right? Hebrew is one of the purer forms of language. It's a high frequency language. And then you have something like English that the Bible was translated into. And with it being so many variances and nuances and synonyms and antonyms for one word, and you can look in a dictionary, that just lets you know that the English language is really up to interpretation. How one perceives the truth from the Bible, that is a matter of perception. So it doesn't make it very reliable when you're trying to translate a language like the Hebrew tongue. So there were errors, and intentionally as well as unintentionally. But this is a thing. It does not matter, because the truth cannot change nor pass away. That's the Holy Quran, Circle 7. Truth does not change. That is, when you translate that, the end of a world, that actually translates to just an era of time, like a eon, a cycle. And that ended. The age of Pisces ended. We are in the period of the great falling away. We fell away from one polarity being expressed on the earth and we are in a new polarity being expressed on the earth, and it's positive. So anyone committing crimes against the great God, universal Allah, is guilty. We are all guilty of sinning against the great God, universal Allah, right? Of course. But not all of us shall be redeemed and reconciled back to the great God, universal Allah, in this go around. So there will be implications from everyone's book of life. What is the book of life? We're on page 7. Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Drali. And you, Elizabeth. And they are not talking about Elizabeth Hostra. They ain't talking about that Elizabeth. Because that's a new age plant right there. She is here to deceive the very elect. Come in the image and likeness, the essence of a melanated, but you are a whole another nation that was set against us. Yeah, the Asian nation, all the other nations were set against us. So you harvest our energy, our melanin, through the D-I-C-K. The D-I-C-K. You take on so much melanated DNA from your video vixen days, trying to climb to the top of Hollywood. You couldn't make it. You harvested that much melanin from Black D that you sound like a black nigga in a whole nother nation's body, though. There's something off about that. There's something off about that. This is a whole black man, and I'm gonna call her black. I'm gonna call her black. This is a whole black man in an Asian woman's body. Listen, the great God said it. Even the very elect shall be deceived. One indicator of we'll just say a plant, an experiment pretty much. This can go for clone individuals. They kind of showed you on that movie. I think it was called Us. But these replicas, they take on the image and likeness of what they are trying to infiltrate. That we don't even sound like that. We don't sound like that. I mean, come on, like, you sound like a whole fucking black man. And leave it up to our gullible male vessels to fall for it. She first tricked the other guy that was doing the brain training from Earn Your Leisure, had his family up in arms. And then she jumped ship and hopped stick over to Billy, and I think she done just transferred his consciousness. And I saw a video of a guy that kind of resembled him, but he was pale skinned. After he done said that he done died and came back, and now this guy is like resembling his consciousness and likeness and image. It's like these are the things that the non-melanated, they are going to come in a image and likeness that you desire, that you need. They will fulfill a need to infiltrate, and this is no different. So again, we not to get too much into that. We're not, because what's your genetic match? You can only ascend through your genetic match. That is not his genetic match. He is melanated. You need, especially a male vessel, you need a reflection of yourself that's made in the image and likeness of you, a counterpart, to reflect back to you who you are actually. So just because that's according to my prophet Noble Jurali, we do not intermarry because we know that all of the other nations were set against the 12 tribes of Israel, the melanated. We see that again. We see that fact here in so-called America. Everyone thrives. Everyone is allowed to do business, is allowed to succeed in business. But the so-called blacks not even being able to own property until when? What year were the so-called blacks allowed to even own property? And on top of that, under your constitution, if you are black, Negro, colored, African American, you are a commercial property. Can we get that? Just take a note. We'll do a separate video on that. I don't want to go too far off, but you're black, Negro, colored, African American, you are property. 3/4 human under amendment. Go look that up. So not that Elizabeth, the pure Elizabeth that was chosen to have a baby Yahushai because of her purity, not her knowledge. Because that's what she has. She has an IQ. She has knowledge. But she does not have the purity. Because she doesn't even know herself. She doesn't know where she comes from. And that cannot be reconciled in a lifetime. Those types of abandonment issues. Who is your maker? Who is your creator? That's not how your nation sounds. So again, the purity, the pure intent has to be there. And if you are in competition with the melanated women, you cannot claim to have enough love for these women to even teach them. And you do not. Energy does not lie. You started off as an incompetent, unconfident basket case. And you absorbed all of that melanin, and it has, the same melanin that Elon Musk needs to line his rocket ship. It has catapulted your ego to such a degree that you actually think you are black. I heard one of her videos, I heard the word nigga in it. Now that is unacceptable. That's a divine court hearing against this individual. I don't know them personally, and it is what it is, but that's a divine court hearing. You don't have any type of lyrics because you carefully choose the image you choose to portray. Because you look at my nation as niggas. Hey, this individual, they may take it down. because I am a monitored individual. But guess what? I heard that it was a short, and the song that she chose for the short had nigga in it. Totally unacceptable. You are officially in a divine court hearing, and this is a divine transfer. Because you are now subject to the wrath of Allah, because you are a criminal. You are perpetuating the curse, the mark placed upon my nation in 1774. Black, Negro, colored, African American. Negro being a four-legged animal. Nigga being an ignorant person, because all of our knowledge of self was taken away from us intentionally by the European. And you know your nation is set against my nation. You already know that. But I believe that this individual does have ties to the Carbons. Could be the Carbons. It's definitely an extraterrestrial group that has chosen this vessel to infiltrate the melanated for the purposes of melanin harvesting. See, they choose the vessels for their purposes of melanin energy harvesting. And if they can, again, it's always a honeypot situation, of course. I don't think that this individual, I think that this individual, it looks like a lady boy to me. I mean, but that's not important, because looks are not important. But male vessels are testosterone based. They are driven by sex hormones. So it's easy to infiltrate a male vessel with a female vessel that appears attractive. Because I absolutely, from looking at the pictures and things like that, I absolutely believe that this individual is a shapeshifter. For sure. And I know this individual is a portal chosen by these negative extraterrestrials. They have a nefarious fear-based agenda to fulfill, and they do it through human vessels on earth. That's what the great God universal Allah referred to as spiritual wickedness in the higher dimensions. When they install these human vessels with etheric technology, they become portals. The same thing with like Elon Musk. That's his goal as well. He needs melanin to line a rocket ship to catapult into space. These negative beings from the spiritual wickedness in the higher dimensions, they have to be able to transmit these agendas, thoughts, concepts, ideas, plots, plans, and all that. They have to have they have to work with a certain intelligence level. You have to have a higher IQ, because these are beings from the higher dimensions, and they are way more advanced. They are the ones that give beings like Elon Musk their technologies, and give the world governments their technologies and stuff. So no wonder this Asian individual is actually a black man. I'm sure these are ties to these beings in other dimensions. So we're off of that. I did want to clarify that, because that name is just, at this point, it's like, nah, don't dirty that name up. But we got to clear that up, because that individual is doing dirt. You are in a divine court hearing. All that melanin that you harvested, the great God is going through your book of life. Elizabeth is going through your book of life. Let's see. This book of life is about. And you, Elizabeth, not Ho, are blessed because yours is purity made. Hold on. Let's get this right. Made flesh, and he shall pave the way for love. This age, that's number 25. This age will comprehend but little of the works of purity. And love, but not a word is lost. For in the book of Allah's remembrance, a registry, get that, is made of every thought and word and what? And deed. So listen, it's no escaping. It's no escaping. The angels of Allah recorded everything. And it just takes individuals like myself to call in these divine court hearings seeking justice against the unscrupulous and those that seek to take the universal knowledge for their own personal glory. Nobody cares about your junkie story. Nobody cares. Trust me. Nobody cares that you're an addict because you never knew your parents and you're a clone, probably. You're probably a clone. You probably were created by some government agency just for this time, just to deceive the very elect, because they go through the same type of shadow trauma release, the trauma that comes. They go through that. They put them through those torture simulations, because they have to remove the feeling out of the human vessel to be able to use them to infiltrate movements. And this is a movement. This new age, this is a part of prophecy. We are fulfilling a prophecy. We're at the end of we're seeing the end of a world play out, right? It's already happened in the spirit realm. The spirit realm, the energy realm is instant. The frequency is oscillating way slower in the plane of manifest. So we're just, seeing the show play out pretty much. So these, you have chosen, and Satan chooses individuals like, I know they're not going to have a heart for that proud and handsome race of beings, that melanation. I know they're not going to have a heart for them, because all the other nations, they are jealous of us. Why are they jealous of us? Because we got that ish. We got that ish they need. We got that ish they need. We got that melanin. Elon and none of them, they can't do nothing. None of this. The European can't do none of this if it wasn't for melanin, off the backs of the melanin. So we got that ish that they need. That's why the great God universal Allah said, I know thou trial and tribulation. I know that thou art poor. That's what they called us, right? That's what they created for us. But the great God universal Allah said, but thou art rich. How can you be poor and rich at the same time? Well, because guess what? They're poor and rich at the same time. They have fiat money, but they're poor in spirit. Because once they got to give all that back, I want it all back. You ain't going to have no life force energy left. You're going to be, you going back to the void. Get back to the void. The heck? Get your ass back to the void. They got to get that back. This is the transfer. Everything that they stole, and she works for them. She works for the entertainment industry. She could not make it. This is how these agents work. They can't make it in one sector that they wanted to be in, and they It's only about attention for them, because that's what feeds them. The life force energy feeds them. Where the attention goes, the energy flows. She's, spitting out a knowledge. She has a brain. She went through school, so she's spitting out knowledge and conning everybody to make it like she has the soul. No, you got the soul from Black D. You got the soul from Black D. That ain't you. So they are here to deceive the very elect. And it's a shame that the males fall for these tricks of Satan, because Satan chooses vessels. I need someone that's not, because Satan can't make you do something if you have the life force energy in you, the great God in you for a particular nation. But all the other nations were set against us. That's in her DNA. I don't know where this chick was made from, what lab she was made in, or what. I don't know. But I don't believe none of it. I don't believe none of it. She works for the synagogue of Satan. Couldn't make it in the entertainment industry as a video vixen, and that's how they normally get in the door. But nobody knows you from nothing else. You have no records nowhere else for being influential in Hollywood. So you try to get in the back door somewhere where you can, because all of those Hollywood people, it doesn't matter if they reach rank or not, they still have the occult knowledge. They still work the occult. A lot of them, they still take oaths, or they are joined to individuals, do relationships, sex, whatever, that take oaths, and they learn the lingo, they learn the lifestyle. And now this individual this is how parasites do. They just latch on to you, and they become like those people like us. They mimic you, and next thing you know, they're trying to destiny swap you. People, he's dying and coming back to life, and I didn't believe any of that. I didn't believe any of that riffraff. None of it. So this is the divine core hearing. This is the divine transfer. All that melanin that was harvested, the angels of Allah are going through your book of life, and it is being reversed, either reversed or redistributed to the proper dimensions and realities, people, places, and things. That's all I'm gonna say about that. So again, this age will comprehend but little of the works of purity and love, but not a word is lost. For in the book of Allah's remembrance, a registry is made of every thought, word, and deed. You're not getting away. Let's look at the universal law of one. Again, Elihu met his pupils in the sacred grove and said, no man lives unto himself, for every living thing is bound by cords to every other living thing. So we're going to get back to the original subject. Holy Spirit just wanted me to disclose that about this Black Sam. We'll call him Sam, because black, according to science, means death. My people perish for their lack of knowledge. Responds to ops shooting up a Nipsey Hussle restaurant opening. Why is this happening? Why? Because Nipsey Hussle did talk about the former days, the concerts, when the energy was attracting a lot of death energy as well. So why is this becoming a theme? It seems like, well, again, we're in a new age. This is a positive polarity age, and there are different rules. Mother Earth is not playing anymore. We've already ended a era of time, an eon, a cycle on Earth. We already ended it. This is judgment time on Earth. So all things are being reconciled back to the great God, Universal Allah. All fear that was created from that age, that negative polarity age, the age of Aquarius, all fear has to dissolve back to neutrality, back to 0 point, back to the void, back where it's no longer there's no more negative charge, there's no more fear-based charge, there's no more mass of dense energy on this earth any longer. So the physical has to follow. That means everything has to come up of all the inhabitants of the earth before we can physically see a new earth. That's what the Great Tribulation is for. The Great Tribulation is going to bring the 99% deepest fears to the surface. At one time, everybody's going to, the 99% are going to go through it together on Earth. It's going to include all the inhabitants on the Earth, even down to this. They show the script on the Terminator, the Judgment Day. That's why I did a little video clip about it. Because that's the time we're in now. All of the thoughts, words, and deeds from the age of Pisces on the earth, they are coming up for review so that we can collapse all of these different timelines and fragments that were created through fear. It has to come up so it can leave this dimension. It can leave this dimension of Earth, and we can see the earth restored back to divine order. It cannot be done. Listen, the great God, Universal Allah, is the master architect, is the master engineer, the landlord of Earth, the creator of Earth. So the great God is doing this from a, this is an original divine blueprint. This is not going to be some, building over what's here. Everything has to be done, and all fear has to be done away with. And that's going to happen in numerous ways. But until then, it would not be wise to be a part of generating mass fear-based energies on the earth. And from what I see, although it makes people feel good to eat and it makes fiat money, any business dealing with animal slaughter is generating so much fear on my Mother Earth. My Mother Earth has such a special love and care for her animals. And even in India, cows are considered a sacred animal. They're considered sacred, and they are truly peaceful animals. And the way that they are treated and slaughtered just for our addictions is pure evil. And this is not to judge anyone, because we all were born into sin and we all sin. But it becomes a point like, do you want to keep up with the human resonance on the earth? Do you want to keep up with the frequency of Mother Earth? Because Mother Earth right now, she is raising her frequency, and fear and slaughter and torture and pain is no longer in alignment. Is no longer in alignment with her. She's looking forward to birthing a new earth that is restored back to divine order. That is the original diet being given to us in one place that I do know. It's in I believe Genesis 1:19 or 1:20, telling us the intended diet. But again, we are in a positive age. The law of cause and effect, that's a universal law, and what you choose to think, say, or do, it definitely has an effect. Now, what the consciousness formerly known as Nipsey Hussle, who is going through life review, had, would he be proud of this business, knowing what he knows, experiencing the intense suffering that he experienced upon soul loss. Soul loss is when you experience such dense fear-based energies that you literally lose your divine consciousness and your divine alignment with the higher planes of life. Now, when it gets even more intricate, when you're entered into death contracts and a whole host of individuals that he entered into these deals with, not knowing the spiritual implications of it, they were able to transfer parts of his essence to them. A bunch of people getting abundance and more deals off of tricking him through spiritual contracts. Everything is a contract. Every agreement is a contract. And when you're in an industry like that, this individual knew that he was playing both sides, meaning like he entered into this industry just to dismantle the industry. It was like a Robin Hood situation that he was doing for the melanated, for whom he considered his people. And that industry is not gonna forgive that. That industry is a satanic industry, and where the consciousness formerly known as Nipsey Hussle was interested in freedom and freeing people, well, that machine is interested in enslaving the minds and the money of individuals. If you empower an individual too much, then they have no need for you or your creativity or your works. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he always pushed the independent route, and you know, that industry thrives off of contracts of control. So, you know, it was a whole insider thing. Like, they were all, maybe it was a few, but most were against him because they knew his true intent. He had the video from, I think it was like 15 years ago, where he actually said it. Like, that is his goal, is to take down the industry. So Satan already knew that as well. But back to this, the violence that went on at the event. This is an age where, and it said in the script, if we had not come back, then no flesh would be saved, because the wickedness on earth is increasing because the frequency of earth is raising. That means everything's moving faster. The molecules, the vibrations oscillating faster on one pole, on the positive pole. On the negative pole, everything is getting denser. Everything's getting denser. So it's really up to you what you choose, what side you want to be on. The great God, Universal Allah, said, look, I'd rather you hot or cold. You are lukewarm, I'll spit you out of my mouth. That's because this is the time where you only have room to either take the straight and narrow, or join the world that is descending. They are getting heavier with the fear-based energies due to the cares of the world. So again, any business that is generating suffering, fear-based energies, due to universal law of cause and effect, would be subject to that naturally. And then if we're talking about, I'm saying what the great God, Universal Allah, told me, that the synagogue of Satan, these individuals would like to change what is written about the divine intent of these individuals. Again, I said it before, the great God's script for these individuals is a so-called black Steve Jobs, a tech geniuses, business enterprisers, and leaders. And you see how they just got them to be, got him to be proud about something that generates so much suffering, and to change the course of where they were going. They had the smart store, and the Vector 90 was a goal, was priority at one point, and I don't know the progress of that right now, but a lot of energy is being put into this business that's generating a whole heap of suffering. So let's see what the great God thinks, because this is the age of the great God, Universal Allah, back on the earth. The positive polarity is operating on the earth. This is all about the great God, Universal Allah, and what the great God, Universal Allah, cares about and wants. The great God, Universal Allah, does not care about a fiat note. The great God, Universal Allah, does not care about a dead tree. But the great God, universal Allah, does care about suffering. So let's look at this. This is page, what is it? 18. We're just going to say Yahweh Shai. There is no J in Hebrew. Spoke on the unity of Allah and man to the Hindus. Whatever that name is, Benares, is the sacred city of the Brahms, and the Benares, Yahweh Shai taught. Ujraka was his host. Ujraka made a feast in honor of his guests, and many high-born Hindu priests and scribes were there. And Yahweh Shai said to them, with much delight I speak to you concerning life, the brotherhood of life. The universal Allah is one, yet he is more than one. All things are one. That's the universal law, one. By the sweet breath of Allah, all life is bound in one. If an animal suffers, you suffer. So if you touch a fiber of a living thing, you send a thrill from the center to the outer bounds of life. And when you crush beneath your foot the meanest worm, you shake the throne of Allah and cause the sword of life to tremble in its sheath. And it goes on. The bird sings out its song for men, and men vibrate in unison to help it sing. The ant constructs her home, the bee its sheltering comb. The spider weaves her weed and flowers breath to them, a spirit in their sweet perfume that gives them strength to toil. Now men and birds and beasts and creeping things are deities made flesh. Now men and birds and beasts and creeping things are deities made flesh. And how dare men kill anything? It is cruelty that makes the world awry, which men have learned that when they harm a living thing, they harm themselves. They surely will not kill, nor cause a thing that Allah has made to suffer pain. Is that it? Or do we need to? I think that pretty much sums what I'm trying to, what the great God is saying. But what I'm saying about what I believe is going on with this situation, that, yeah, I believe that the synagogue of Satan is using, I believe they're assisting him with these business ventures, and you give Satan a certain amount of legal rights to take certain actions depending on your actions, right? So I don't know what type of contracts he's in, but we see what happened with his brother, the contracts that he was entered into, that sealed his sacrifice. And again, like, this is what the great God, universal Allah, said: to whom much is given, much is required, right? So, like, although it's not right me just eating a burger or anything like that, I'm not going to get into right and wrong about it. But when you're serving hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and you have a certain requirement of suffering to to feed people, now you could get into committing universal crimes. So we're going to call a divine court hearing, past, present, future timeline, all involve seen, unseen, behind the scene, because the consciousness formerly known as Nipsey Hussle definitely is a child of the great God, Universal Allah, and is in life review, and is preparing for reincarnation. And he said it. He told everyone the marathon continues. So him going through this life review and seeing everything that was truly done to him, not anything that he was being paranoid about. No, when you're in life review, when your book of life gets open, you go through every thought, word, and deed pertaining to your life on earth. So that, to have to see the betrayal when it's played back like a movie. Wow, that's what they were planning. That's what that person was really doing. That's who that was. That's who that individual was around me. Like, because all of the betrayal, all of the grief, all of the war, the violence, all of those fear-based energies, that is a universal law. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. You have to transmute it from one state, one form to another. So if we leave here, we pick back up somewhere else to transmute that. And every case is different, but in this case, it's through life review, because this individual, I'm talking about, when we're talking about the scales in my yacht, your good outweighing your bad. His good absolutely outweighed his negative. His positive outweighed his negative, and he put his life on the line as a sacrifice. He said it in his lyrics and all that. You know, when you tell the truth, they're gonna come and kill you, right? So he knew that part about the game, and he disclosed that he's infiltrating. He didn't try to hide that. He was right in the studio with Diddy, talking about it's the infiltration. And then that's when you see that smirk on Diddy's face when they were in the studio with him and Lauren London and Cassie and Nip. And he's like, oh, this is the infiltration. And Diddy can't believe, like, yo, he don't know that I'm Satan's chief representative, favorite soldier, favorite child. What? Like, he's looking at this as like he's licking his chops, because it's like they're looking at it like, oh, he's coming to steal from me. That's how they're looking at it. Like, oh, you trying to free my people? You trying to free people? That's not how this machine operates. We do everything by oath, and we do not break that oath. And it's all in a family. That's it. But because Nipsey Hussle is a universal being, universal beings are concerned with the good of all. They want to genuinely see everyone do well and prosper, and they want goodwill for all mankind. And you have to understand that side, the synagogue of Satan, they only want it for the few. They are a part of the 1% that had the dominion and experienced the fruit of the land, the fruit of the earth, off of the backs of the 99%. So they do not have interest in the goodwill of humanity, the goodwill of all. And that was the reason. Because they all knew that he was playing both sides. And it's like, all right, if you playing both sides, then you got to expect them to be betting against you, to be playing against you. And that's what it was. They were just playing against him. And now they're doing the same thing with his brother, because like the great God, Universal Allah, told me, like, if we're talking about business, that was basically a business trinity that these these three individuals, they could have conquered the world. They could have conquered that world. I mean, they even did the Marathon Smart Store better than the own dang creators of AI. Because what? They did it for the melanated. They did it for the melanated. But you have the other nations harvesting the melanin. And they had the direct access to the melanin. They had direct access to the mines. So it could have, started a whole revolution. It could have freed a lot of people. And that is not wanted on this side. So again, the whole industry knew that he was playing both sides. And he was really a truth speaker that, I don't know if he took the oath exactly, but I'm sure to get in close with Khaled and all of them like that, like he was, I'm sure he probably took that oath, knowing that oaths can be broken. But the individuals that he was around, they were a part of the machine, and it was too many deals with devils. So again, now they're doing the same thing with his brother. They're giving him gifts, right? But at what cost? Because again, this is just, why the great God is fully on earth. The divine mind is fully operating on the earth. We're just seeing the polarity playing out, because all of the fear has to leave. All of the fear has to come up. All of the fear has to be again, either transferred out off of earth, or it has to be dissolved back to neutrality, where it's not giving a fear-based a negative charge out to the universe. So this can be particularly dangerous dealing in these businesses that sufferate so much. They generate so much fear-based energies and suffering. The good news is that the consciousness formerly known as Nipsey Hussle is still on the other side protecting his brother, just like his brother protected him while he was here. He's now protecting his brother, and we are making sure, because when you act as an intercessor or an intermediary, it's like anyone that has been buried in such dense energies of fear-based energies, like the betrayal, the grief, and the soul loss, the shock that those bullets hit in those certain energy centers, and the impact of it was to literally lodge that mass of fear, so that unless you have that transmuted, then one would be trapped. And that was the case. And it took a team. It takes a team in other dimensions to remove that trauma, that type of trauma upon departure from the body. It takes a team to unbury that individual that was buried in grief. And that's what's going on now. But this individual still has to face these emotions that were created during their earth experience, dissolve that back to neutrality and take another go at it. This time, get it right. Would you like to go like this? The shock? That's shock. That's trauma. That's exactly like being shot with a gun, a bullet in the head. That's exactly what it's like. Trauma. One day I'll have better technology. Inside the food factory, millions of cow slaughter and beef processing factory, donor. They have to live their life in captivity and then go to the slaughter. That's not good memory. That's traumatic memory. And they are part of the all. Would you like to be hanging by your legs in a slaughterhouse? Because I know these animals feel. This is murder. But this is permitted and this is acceptable, though. Now, to whom much is given, much is required. This individual is in this business. And we're talking about the universal law of cause and effect. And like attracting like. This is a business of pain and suffering. They're in these tiny cages, grouped together. It's still shaking. I don't want to be in a business like that. I mean, and the great God, Universal Allah, wrote them script as tech geniuses and community enterprisers. So now let's see why the great God, Universal Allah, could be upset about that. Like as we just read, and when you crush beneath your foot the meanest worm, you shake the throne of Allah and cause the sword of life to tremble in its sheath. So you telling me this shakes the throne of Allah? Now men and birds and beasts and creeping things are deities made flesh, and how dare men kill anything? So again, I just wouldn't want to be in the business of death, because not in this age of Allah back on the earth. And I understand that he is, and his brother knows that he is doing it in unawareness and ignorance, because he is a universal being as well. But again, intercessions and prayers are being made for this individual because of the facts involved with the consciousness formerly known as Nipsey Hussle. And again, their intent being pure and the intent to uplift humanity. But again, this is not the right path, and the synagogue of Satan are a part of it. If they know that you can change a world and economically empower a melanated nation, then they would absolutely try to steer you in the wrong direction to have you reap according to your actions. So that's what's going on right now. So again, I will call in a divine court hearing, and again, these are divine court hearings. These are ruled and judged by the great God Universal Allah. The great God Universal Allah goes through the book of life pertaining to all of these events, these individuals, and awards judgment on the evil involved, and can also redeem, restore, reclaim the innocents back to the innocent, which they are. That will all be decided. All of that will be decided and ruled on in these divine court hearings, because again, this consciousness formerly known as Nipsey Hussle is in life review right now, getting an early release date. These are like holding cells. These are spiritual prisons that some individuals go to after leaving their body. If their work is not finished, his work is not finished. So his brother is of the same consciousness and is also being addressed in these divine court hearings as well, because we know that it's deception that's around him. The same thing that was being done to his brother is being done. The mock interviews, these are satanic mock interviews, because they do have sorcerers, soothsayers, they have psychics, and all of those that make predictions for your demise, and that's all they're doing right now. They study you. They inflate your ego. It's like when you inject chicken with the steroids, like the steroids to make them real big. They'll make you real big, but it's only to deflate you, to transfer your consciousness, your energy. This is energy harvesting, sacrifice, and destiny swapping, and to kill your dream, the dream that was installed in you by the great God Universal Allah. And that was the course that they were on. And again, too many deals with Satan was the reason for that departure. So I think that's it. I think I can pretty much stop there, and glory, honor, and praise to the great God Universal Allah, Father in heaven. Signing out.